Hi, my name is Jonah Scott. I'm a voice actor for video games and anime. I voice Legoshi in Beastars.
That was the moment I discovered the small rabbit and my instincts.
Katakuri in One Piece.
I shouldn't have to tell you this. When a man goes to battle, don't patronize him! If you laugh at a man fighting for his life, then why not have a laugh at me, too?
Kokushibo in Demon Slayer.
From here on out, you are to show some respect. Do you understand? Is that so? Then I wish you the best.
Aiden Caldwell in Dying Light 2.
Every day the disease tries to crush us and make us forget who we are, but I keep fighting. My name is Aiden, and I am infected.
Bunch of other ones, and you can go look me up if you need the full list.
Perfect. We're going to go a little bit early in your career.
Sure.
So what originally inspired you to pursue voice acting? And was there a particular moment that made you say, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I was a stage actor technically I guess I still am, but I was a stage actor for like 20 some odd years. I have a degree in musical theater. I did opera, broadcast journalism even.
Wow.
I did like radio. I did drive time DJ work at my college. Lots of really fun ways to use my voice, Shakespeare, things like that. And while I was at university, I used my downtime, whichever downtime I had, because most of the time it's going to rehearsal 16 hours a day, 8 hours a day, going to classes, obviously, studying. But I would use my downtime and play video games. I played League of Legends for my college team.
Nice.
For quite some time. And during my League of Legends play, over comms, I would mock the heroes that I was playing all the time, just to kind of screw with the people that I was playing with my team. And sometimes they'd believe me, sometimes they wouldn't. But a lot of the time they would say, hey, you should try and do this for a living. And they were my teammates. They were kind of ribbing me a little bit, like, hey, you should do this for a living. But I took a second. I was like, maybe I'll think about that and see what I can do. Then I did a little bit of research and learned that you can do that stuff online if you just have the equipment. So I had a Rock Band USB microphone.
Nice.
And that was the equipment, right? I had this microphone I just plugged in, and I auditioned for an Attack on Titan radio play for like a fan audio drama thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got cast. That was my first audition I ever did. And I didn't get cast as the character I auditioned for, but I got cast as a prominent character. And from there, I just kind of started doing more stuff online. I would read sonnets out loud in my dorm room, and then I would post them. I would make little tiny audio jokes and stuff like that. Things you would see on TikTok nowadays.
Right.
But way before that, and it was just audio, right? It wasn't, I would make TikTok audios in my booth or in my room, my dorm room, and just post it. People loved them. People really did like them. I post them on Tumblr and SoundCloud and YouTube and all over the internet, and people did really like them. So that was where I was just like, okay, maybe there's something to this. And at the time I was working at deli, making sandwiches. And I started auditioning for more online projects that were paying, because at a certain point I was like, I'm working at school, I need to make some money. It would be neat if this little side hustle became something that I can turn into a new pair of shoes, or turn into a new video game or whatever. I think GTA 5 had come out while I was in college, so I was just like, oh my god, everyone's playing GTA 5, so maybe I finally afford it. But I did well enough. I made more money doing that than I did. This is just online commercials and things like that. Nothing crazy. No AAA video games or anything, with a major IP. But I made more money doing that than I worked at the deli. And I told my dad, and my dad's like, maybe you should try and do this for a living. So I moved to Los Angeles. And after 2 years of not booking anything in Los Angeles, I did finally book something. And then I booked 2 or 3 more things. And then it started to snowball and roll, almost out of control, honestly. I was just like, I don't know how to deal with this, because when they teach you how to act in acting school, they don't teach you how to run a business.
Right.
That's one thing that I had to learn how to do. They don't teach you how to do your taxes as an actor. They don't teach you how to do that. Right. So it's a lot of other tiny little minutiae that you have to learn yourself, and it's a lot of bootstrap, and it's a lot of making your dream work. But yeah, that was probably the moment where I was just like, yeah, I want to be a voice actor. When my friends over comms said, you should probably do this for a living. I'm just like, well, you can't make money doing that. They just pull. Back then, I just thought they pulled the janitor and off the street for all these voice acting jobs, or like they got the engineer to do it or whatever. But no, somebody, an actor got hired and cast and worked really hard to do all this stuff. So that was where I was just like, yeah, this is gonna happen. This is gonna be real.
Nice. I think you just answered the entire first 5 questions.
It was so funny. Is the rock band microphone is also what I started with.
That's also that's actually what I started with too. When I started singing.
That's what you got laying around. Yeah. Before you ever had real audio equipment, you're just like, I got this thing that I use in Rock Band to use my voice. So it sounds pretty good. Yeah. It's not like amazing or anything, but it works.
When I was in high school, I thought it was great. When I was listening to myself sing in Rock Band, I was like, this is gonna be perfect for my
serviceable. It's a karaoke microphone. Yeah. It does the job.
So Legoshi is such a layered emotional character in Beastars.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge in bringing him to life?
The biggest challenge in bringing Legoshi to life was probably making him sound anxious and depressed, and going through all those emotions that a teenager would be going through with his hormones, without making him sound boring or bored, right? That can really, like, my vocal timbre is very low, and certain characters can get a little like monotonous, but making it so that there are peaks and valleys in that monotony. There are peaks and valleys in those emotions. He doesn't yell, he doesn't scream. There's occasions where he strains, and there's a lot of vocal stress. Right. But he's not like Tatsu, the house husband. He's not a shouty character. He's not loud. He's not in your face, right? And the subtlety, maintaining that subtlety, making him not sound boring, making it interesting to not only watch but listen to, because the animators did their job flawlessly. The show looks amazing, and it's kind of like, it's a lot of pressure to keep up with that. Making sure that the animation isn't betrayed by a guy that sounds boring as Legoshi. So yeah, that's probably the hardest thing.
So the way of the house husband is a completely different vibe.
Oh yeah.
What was it like stepping into a role of Tatsu, former Yakuza turned house husband?
I didn't think I'd book it. I auditioned, I got the audition. I was a huge fan of the manga series before I got the audition. And I looked at the sides and I'm like, honestly, and this is probably the first time I'm saying this out loud, but I was like, KG's gonna book this. KG Tang is gonna book this, who voices Gojo. And I could personally think of like 9 other characters, or 9 other voice actors that I personally know that would do an incredible job. But I think that is because Tatsu is the type of character that you can see a lot of people. He's got sunglasses, and if a character wears sunglasses, in my opinion, if the character wears sunglasses, there's an air of there's like a Spider-Man-esque, anyone can wear the mask kind of quality to that, where it's just like there can be anybody's voice coming out of that character and you'd still get the gist of what they are, right? But it was very humbling. Tsuda-san, Kenjiro Tsuda, who voices Tatsu and is modeled. He looks like Tatsu. They made him look like Tatsu. Like he did the live action version of the Way of the House Husband. He did these little like teasers and things like that, these trailers and stuff. It's hard to be in that shadow for a little bit. It's hard to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's a titan over in Japan. Like, what am I adding to this? What am I lending to this? How do I set myself apart from Kenjiro Tsuda without, trying to eclipse Kenjiro Tsuda, right? Because you can't do that. He's a monolith. He's incredible. One of my favorite actors. So what I decided to do was take a little bit more of a toon approach, like a cartoon approach, a little bit more fun and funny approach to it. He does swear, he does, get into intense situations, but his voice, everything he says. And my direction for myself when I go into everything is every single line has to sound like a Hollywood action one-liner. Like everything has to be like, yeah, that's right, you son of a bitch, right? Yeah, kind of a thing, right? But he has these softer moments with his wife and his cat, and when he there's one moment that I particularly like where he's just like, the guy's like, he's checking out at a store and he's like, do you need a bag or whatever? And he's like, no, I have my own bag. Oh wait, can I actually get a card for like my points and stuff too? Like he like drops the character for a little bit, and that's funny, right? And my personal challenge with Tatsu was, I'm a dramatic actor. I do a lot of grounded, real. People are gonna. Actors hate hearing, I want it to be grounded and real. They hate hearing that, but like that's what the zeitgeist is. I'm a real dramatic, down to earth actor. So doing these crazy characters, I didn't think I could do comedy. Because I'm like, oh my God, all the stuff that I do is drama. Everything I do is dramatic and over the top. And like Legoshi, he's just, he's waxing poetic and these Shakespearean monologues and these soliloquies that he goes on in his head and that kind of thing. Tatsu does none of that. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pull off the comedy. But the good part about Tatsu is the comedy in that show comes from playing it completely straight and dramatic and serious, right? So the more I leaned into the soap opera-ness of it all, the melodrama of it all, the funnier it is. So through that, I guess I did do comedy, and people seem to like it. So
I love it.
That's all I care about. Yeah, thank you so much. I like watching it too. It was fun.
So Red Keeper is loud. He's proud.
Yes.
And dramatic.
Yes.
Really makes you second guess what you think of the Red Ranger. So what was it like unleashing this bold theatrical experience in the dub form?
Red Keeper is, everybody says, they come up and he's like, he's anime Homelander. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a little reductive, but yeah, he's essentially anime Homelander. He's got a lot of other layers. If you've read the manga, there's a lot going on with Sosei Akabana, who is Red Keeper. That's his given name. It was really cool because one of my goals for this year that I established last year was I want to play a superhero. I don't play any superheroes. I play I play supervillains, I play bad guys, I play a lot of those, but I don't play any superheroes. And I want to be a Marvel hero. I want to do I want to be an X-Men. I want to do something cool, right? Not that what I've done isn't cool, but I was kind of the monkey's paw curled. And I was just like, you get to be a superhero, but he's actually a villain. So go ahead, you can be a superhero. Everybody thinks you're a superhero, but he's a tokusatsu hero. So he's like a Sentai hero, kind of like in the same vein as like Ultraman or the Power Rangers. And it's really fun to play a character like him because he is the bad guy, but everybody is viewing him as this, this saint. He has his own agenda. He's very loud and boisterous, and there are 3 different voices that we have for him, essentially. 3 different scenarios in which he's speaking. One where he's speaking to just the public. So he's this superhero, he's just, you're the real hero here. You're having a great time. Give me that, I'll sign that for you. Have a great time. It's fantastic. He has this like gravitas to him. He's like, the kind of thing, right? And then he has this situation where he's just, a little bit more serious. He's talking to the people around him, his team, right? And then occasionally he'll be like, hey, shut up, listen to me. I'm saying something right now, right? That's him, but I'm still the hero. Like you're a hero too, but I'm the better one, right? And then he has a situation where he's talking to people that he really doesn't like. And it's more of like a dad talking to you. He's like, listen, you're gonna go to your room and you're gonna think about what you did. And you're gonna come out a different person, right? And there's this weird like pseudo heroism there, like that your dad has, where he's just like, yeah, what he's saying is very scary. It's scary when dad yells at you, but I guess he's right. I should go to the room and think about what I'm doing, and maybe yeah. So there's 3 different like personalities that he has, and I hate comparing him to Homelander because he's not Homelander. Yeah. He's a similar archetype, but like. Homelander's gravitas comes from a place of not arrogance. Well, that is arrogance, but like from like being a child. He's basically a child. He's a kid, right? He's a kid that's kind of locked in and never really grew up. He was experimented on and used, right? Sosei Akabana knows what he is, and he has grown up and there's a whole backstory there if they've read the manga. It's really fascinating, but. His just comes from a place of kind of protecting people. He really wants to protect people, but like, yeah, it's just read the manga. I don't want to spoil too much. There's more coming of the show, and you'll get to explore a little bit more of that in the show. But yeah, he's a great character. I love being Red Keeper. Another character I did not think I would be cast as, especially with the production house that's making it. NYAV does the dub of Red Keeper, and boy howdy is Michael Sinter-Nicholas, an incredible director. He's one of the best directors I've ever had. He's fantastic. He really keeps you in it and kind of holds your hand through the whole process and gives you really good scenarios. And but yeah, I can wax poetic about production for a while, but that's not the question.
Funny enough, Red Keeper is actually one of my favorite roles that you've done.
Really?
Personally, yeah.
Thank you.
I recently watched it. Maybe what was it? It was when I was studying for one of my board exams, and I would watch it during my breaks. And then I realized it was a bad choice because I kept accidentally watching more episodes as I was taking my breaks. So I was like, all right, 20 minutes, that's it. All right, 20 minutes is now 1 hour, got it.
Oh my God.
But it was such
good
an
on
easy
you for
binge.
getting through while also studying your ass off. You got it.
Did voicing a legacy character like Kuno come with any extra pressure, knowing how beloved Ranma 1/2 is in the anime history?
Ranma was one of the shows that I watched growing up. One of the first shows that I watched, I didn't realize was an anime. Right? It was a fun cartoon that my sister actually recommended that I watch, and we sat down and I fell in love with the whole thing. It wasn't my like favorite show in the world, and it wasn't like the coolest thing I've ever gotten to work on, but it was really neat because the director for the first season was Jalen Cassell, and you know how I talked about sleeping on a guy's floor? That was his. I slept on his floor for like 2 years while I was learning how to dub and becoming a voice actor out in Los Angeles. And he had some say in the casting process. Wow. And the team wanted some other actors. He's like, hold on, you keep these guys on the list. I'm gonna come at you with a different list and listen to these guys. Because the one thing I really like about Jalen is that he's a huge fan of everything that he works on. So much so that he will have the manga next to him for the concurrent episode that he is directing, flipping through it and being like, no, it says this in the manga. We need to emulate this. We need to make a lot of the directing in an anime is what we're doing is an adaptation. Right. We are adapting the Japanese script. We are a language option, right? That doesn't mean it doesn't have to be there can be artistry behind that.
Right.
And Jalen's strength is that he really nails home a lot of that artistry in a way that is that the people that watch the shows, because he's one of them, will consume and really love. So having the manga there and making sure that you're paying attention to what the story is and the implications and the intentions are from the mangaka, like that's like bypassing the show itself even to some really surface level stuff, or really deep stuff. He's very good at his job, and I would not be in the show if it wasn't for him. I did read for Kuno, but he was just like, no, let's let Jonah try it out, and I did, and it sounds great. I really am proud of what I did with Kuno. What a fun character. What the original, I think me and Jalen call him like the original himbo, where he's just like, yeah, he's strong, he's romantic, and he has really good intentions, kind of, but he goes about things in a very, very strange way and goes about things in a really roundabout way. But yeah, and he is a, what is it? Hopeless romantic. Hopeless romantic.
He is.
Yep.
So you work in both anime and gaming. Dying Light 2, Smite, Fire Emblem, a lot of popular titles. How does video game voice acting compare to anime voice acting?
I enjoy the video game process a little bit more than anime. I love doing anime, and I will do anime until I die. It is so much fun to voice characters for these iconic, like epic shows. But video games give us a little bit more artistic freedom, even if they are localizations. We are still responsible for localizing and dubbing and being the language option for, say, Persona, right? We dub Persona from Japanese into English, and there's a Japanese cast that has established everything, and it's a AAA game, and it's huge, but we're still localizing it. And we have to stay true to the original story. For like Western games that are produced either in Europe or South America or North America or Canada, Australia, we really get a lot of freedom because we are the English first language most of the time. And because of that, we are able to talk to the developers directly a lot of the time and give our feedback on characterizations, give our feedback on line reads and things like that. I was working on a game a while ago where we're building a character from the ground up through this like process of, and it's a game that isn't out yet, hasn't been announced, and we're developing it together. They brought me in because they're like, we heard you in this show and we really like what you did. Do you want to keep developing this and help us out here? And I'm like, yeah, they're paying me money to sit there and act lines that they're actively writing as we're speaking, and we can workshop it and have a lot of fun with that.
Right.
That's unheard of in an anime. I mean, the closest thing that we probably have gotten is Skate, where we're able to Skate the Infinity, where we were able to. There was no manga. It was a weekly dub that we just would go in and record weekly. So we were just having as much fun with it as we could, and we were changing things around, and we were kind of leaning more into the relationships of the characters, leaning more into the. It's a show about skateboarding, so we were able to like make it a little bit more dude bro-y, like a little bit more like because skateboarding was developed in Europe, but like it really exploded in the United States, right? It's a very American thing, a skateboard, and we definitely leaned more into the Americanization of everything, and then we're able to do that. But for games, especially particularly Western games, we get a lot of freedom, and I like that a lot more than just being told like, here's your line, say it, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to sit here and spend 5 minutes rewriting the line so that it does work.
Right. And
you can sit there and diddle on your phone until you're ready until we're ready for you to say the line again for the anime dub. That's not every experience, but sometimes it does shake out that way. But not in games. In games, it's up all the way down. Pay a lot for my time, and they want to get their money's worth.
What's been the most physically or vocally exhausting session you've ever done?
Dying Light 2 efforts. So we did and I'm sure I haven't done a game like that since, but I'm sure this is how it shakes out for a lot of games. We record the 10,000 lines or whatever for the actual game itself proper. A lot of the time when you record a video game, you do it out of order. You don't do it, linearly. So we record the middle, like 4 quests, and then we jump back, and then they have to give you prefaced information where it's like, this takes place a week before what you did last week, and you don't have this yet. The player doesn't have access to this or this, and we're not referencing this, right? And then you come in the next week and they've changed that quest, and then we have to change all that stuff because gaming is constantly in flux, and voiceover is usually the last thing that gets done. So if something gets changed in the pipeline, you have to go back and redo the voice line to make it make sense. But we did all those lines, and then we come in on a Friday. It's usually one of our last sessions before we do things like, out now on Steam. We have to go in for a promo session to be like, the main character is saying Dying Light 2 available on Steam now, that kind of thing.
Right.
But before that, the week before that, we usually do efforts, and that's like screaming your ass off, and it's really neat too, because as a gamer, I play a lot. I stream on Twitch. I do a lot of video games. I play a lot of video games. But you swing a 2-handed weapon, swing a 1-handed weapon. You charge a bow. You have special moves and abilities and things like that. They all have to sound different because those are essentially sound effects, right? And I used to do sound design. I used to make sound effects, and I know as a gamer, those repetitive sound effects get really lodged into your brain, and you, even if you aren't consciously realizing that you're hearing this over and over and over again, if something changes, you notice it. Right. But it's a lot of work. It's very vocally stressful. I have never lost my voice. Well, I've lost my voice in one session, and Dying Light 2 wasn't it, because I did the efforts correctly. And they were very intense, and they sound really great. In my opinion, they're some of the best efforts I've ever done. It's all, Aiden has a lot of infected stuff, so I had to sound like I was wheezing. I have asthma, so I do that a lot, but I have to sound like I was wheezing. I was coughing a lot on cue. I was, and coughing and wheezing and Like that stuff is vocally stressful. It really, you're not supposed to do that, right? But I didn't bleed. I didn't, rend my vocal cords in twain. I didn't do anything that would cause me to go see an ENT or anybody that I'm just like, I can't work, I don't have nodes or anything like that. So I did it right. That was probably the most vocally stressful thing. Aiden in general is a very intense character. So there's a lot of like screaming and it's very real and cinematic. So it has to sound real and cinematic. And I want people when they listen to those efforts and those screams to go like, oh wow, yeah, he went hard. Oh wow, that sounds really good,
Right.
People to be taken aback and not just be like, wow, that was weak, weak sauce, do it again. But yeah, it was probably Dying Light 2.
So diversity in voice acting has been a huge topic lately. What are your thoughts on where the industry is headed right now?
In diversity?
In diversity.
I think, well, first of all, I'm a white man who looks and people assume I'm probably straight. I'm bisexual, but I'm a white man, just to clear the room here. So a lot of what I say is probably not what is actually happening because I'm not on the pulse of that. I don't experience that. That's not my lived experience. But from what I have seen, we seem to be stepping in the right direction. There is diversity. There's definitely diversity. I think we could get a lot of correct diversity. Having a character being voiced by a POC character, if it's not like, you're like, okay, so this guy's black, right? This character is, let's see, this character is, a Japanese or whatever. He's voiced by a black guy. That's great. That's fantastic. Could you get a Japanese voice actor?
Right.
Could we get a Japanese American voice actor? Or something to that effect. I'm not in those production meetings. I don't make those decisions.
Right.
I don't have any sort of sway or anything. But I would like to see a lot of appropriate representation. And that is all to say, I'm an anime voice actor. I voice Japanese characters constantly, all the time. Ethnically Japanese characters sometimes.
Right.
And nobody says anything about that. And I think that's a conversation that could be had. It's a very wavy, fine, dotted line with a lot of it, and we're still learning. Production is still learning. And if anybody out there has a lived experience that you want to share in the arts, please try and put yourself out there and make yourself heard. We'll help you as much as we can. But I want to try and lift up my friends, lift up the people that need to be seen and need to be heard. And I'll try my best to do that while maintaining my lane, staying in my lane and maintaining my position and realizing that it's not perfect. It is not perfect. This industry is not perfect, and it will never be perfect. There will always be hiccups and speed bumps and things like that. But the best we can do is try and drive straight.
So what's one thing that you think people misunderstand about the voice acting industry?
That it's like film, that it's like how Hollywood developed in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, this specific view for people, this pop culture view for people of how things are produced. Red carpets, millions of dollars, fast cars, Hollywood houses, celebrities and movie stars, right? Movie stars. I think that people think that translates over into every piece of media, right? And with globalization, with the advent of social media and social media marketing, anybody overnight could become a celebrity, right? You could become what I like to call a celebrity, right? So you're online, you're doing something, you're hawk-toing it, and you're a celebrity. That's great, fantastic. You're there for 15 minutes and you have to solidify your place, right? You got to figure out how you're going to maintain this. How do you keep the hustle going? But there are people like me who are working and have a body of work that people look on as celebrity. I don't think of myself as a celebrity because I have a 2-bedroom townhouse and I can afford rent. And that was me moving up in the world, right? So maybe that's just a sign of the times. But I do conventions for we get paid, like, full transparency for anime dubs. We get paid $75 an hour if you're not doing union work. Now it sounds like a lot, but I'm working maybe 2 or 3 hours a week on a show, and then 2 or 3 hours a week on another show, and that's like maybe $600-700 a week. That doesn't pay for my rent. So it's I'm not complaining at all. I love my job and I would not do anything else. I'm lucky that I'm able to do what I'm doing, but people seem to think like, so here's an example. These big, huge movies, right? These huge anime movies that come out that will gross billions of dollars, whatever. We get paid depending on the show, you get paid a specific rate. One of my friends, I'm not gonna name specific properties or anything, but one of my friends was the protagonist of a anime movie that came out in the last 10 years that grossed over $1 billion. And I know for a fact they got paid maybe $2,000, right? That's incredible, especially when the movie gets released in theaters. Now, if you complain about that, people will think you're trying to you're just trying to grub for money. You're just trying to get money. It's like, yeah, I am. Because there's a huge pie, and I just kind of scoop my finger out of it, right? I would like a slice of it in some way.
Of course.
And I feel for that. I really do. A lot of us work really hard and put in some crazy hours to make ends meet, not just as actors. I'm lucky specifically because I get to do what I'm doing, and from an acting standpoint. But I have friends that work in production, and they're actors at the same time, and that's how they pay their bills, right? They are directing, they are writing anime dub scripts, they are writing scripts, period. They are also streaming. They have diversified their assets to a point where they're running themselves ragged, but that's how they're able to make their rent. That's how they're able to pay. I go to conventions and sign autographs. That's how I'm able to make rent. That's how I'm able to pay for, the like internet and stuff like that on my utilities. But yeah, it's there's a disparity there that is very hard. I don't know, and the sad part is, I don't have a solution. I don't know what to do about it. I have no idea. You follow the money and you see where it goes, and you just kind of do some investigative work. And I'm at a loss. It's like, how do we fix this problem? We're not gonna, because the people making the money are gonna hold on to the money, and they're not gonna let us have any unless there's some catastrophic thing that happens, legal precedent, something like that kind of forces them to do that. And everyone is, for lack of a better term, everyone's pretty comfortable doing what we're doing. So I don't think there's gonna be any boats that are rocked in that way. But it's strange. That's the major misconception. That was the question, right? The people think that because you're involved in a Demon Slayer, you're a celebrity. Because you're involved, or they start getting celebrities involved in anime. So they start putting celebrities in dub voice acting roles, who may or may not be getting paid more than us. We just don't know. We don't ask those questions because we're polite. We don't ask those questions. We don't try and figure that out. Or they could be taking the same amount. It's all up in the air. That stuff is all negotiated behind closed doors. I don't know exactly what's going on there. But yeah, it's a lot of us are just doing this because we're weebs. We like anime and video games. We really enjoy this. We love. I love being Legoshi. I love being Tatsu. I love being Katakuri and One Piece and Kokoshibo and Demon Slayer. Like it's a dream come true in any other way. So,
how do you want to be remembered in the voice acting industry? What is your legacy that you want to leave behind?
At first, it was when you go to IMDb. What's the number next to my name? How many credits do I have? That's how I want to be remembered. And as I started doing this more, that became less and less of a priority. I don't want more credits. I want more credits that I am proud of, right? I want more people to resonate. I have people come up to me at conventions and say, your performance, it changed my life in various ways. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but it changed my life, And that is why we do it. Art inherently, by definition, elicits an emotional reaction. If it elicits an emotional reaction, you can call it art, And by me changing your life or helping you realize, steps in discovering yourself in some way, that is why I do this. So having more roles that are meaningful to people in the communities that I work in, that I am involved in, that I can and help out in. We just talked about diversity. How do I help? How can I help you guys? How can I make this work? And if it's me putting my name on a piece of paper for you and making you happy, that's what I'll do until I die. If it's me taking your phone, going behind my booth and then giving you a pep talk so that you can, get on with your day, I will do that until I die. It's something else, but that's how I want to be remembered, as somebody that tried to help, as somebody that is generous and kind, and just all these superficial values, clearly. But it was a number, and now it's not. It's more about, once I realized how important this was to people, I want to make sure that gravitas, that weight that I have brought into their life is not in vain.
If you could join another major franchise, whether it's anime, video games, film universe, which one would you love to be a part of?
So I really wanted, when I moved out to Los Angeles, one of my goals was to voice a raid boss in WoW. I really wanted to voice a WoW raid boss. I don't know what it was. Now it's just kind of broadened into voicing a raid boss in an MMO, and then that even broadened out into voicing in an MMO. And I've done several. I've done no raid bosses, but I've been in several. I voiced in Elder Scrolls Online. I voiced in some Final Fantasy MMOs. I voiced in there's a couple of other ones. They're out there somewhere. Vindictus, a bunch of other fun games. But I would really like to be in WoW or Warhammer 40K. I would love to touch Warhammer 40K. They mostly, for good reason, they mostly cast British Isles actors, people in the UK and Ireland and even into Europe and stuff like that. I was very close one time, and they had asked where I was from, and I said I was from Cincinnati. And they're like, your accent's very good, but you're from Cincinnati, so we can't really put you in here. But hopefully in the future I'll be able to fold them all the way down the line. But that'd be great. Yeah, Warhammer would be sick to be in.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man.
Of course, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.